The year 1939 dawned with an unsettling tension gripping Europe. The ambitions of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi regime in Germany cast a long shadow across the continent. Years of appeasement had only emboldened Hitler, and on September 1, 1939, the world watched in horror as German tanks crossed the Polish border. World War II had begun. Britain and France, bound by treaties to defend Poland, declared war on Germany on September 3rd. The Nazi-Soviet pact, signed just weeks earlier, had stunned the world. It became clear that this was not just another European conflict. It had the potential to escalate into a global conflagration. The invasion of Poland was swift and brutal, a grim foreshadowing of the horrors to come. The German Blitzkrieg, a lightning war of rapid movement and overwhelming force, proved devastatingly effective. Within weeks, Poland was crushed under the weight of the German Wehrmacht. The world held its breath. The fragile peace that had followed World War I was shattered. A new and even more devastating conflict had begun, one that would reshape the global landscape for generations to come. The roots of World War II ran deep, stretching back to the ashes of the First World War. The Treaty of Versailles, intended to ensure peace, instead sowed the seeds of resentment and instability. Germany, burdened by crippling reparations and territorial losses, became fertile ground for extremist ideologies. The rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in the 1930s was fueled by a potent mix of nationalism, militarism, and a thirst for revenge. Hitler's twisted ideology, rooted in racial superiority and territorial expansion, found a receptive audience in a nation grappling with economic depression and political turmoil. Across Europe, other nations were also grappling with the rise of fascism and authoritarianism. In Italy, Benito Mussolini's fascist party had seized power in 1922, promising national rejuvenation and a return to Roman glory. In Japan, militarists exerted increasing control, driven by imperial ambitions and a desire for Asian dominance. The world watched with growing apprehension as these aggressive powers rearmed and asserted themselves on the world stage. The League of Nations, created after World War I to prevent future conflicts, proved powerless to stop them. The stage was set for a catastrophic clash of ideologies. World War II was a global conflict that pitted two main alliances against each other, the Axis powers and the Allied powers. The Axis, led by Germany, Italy, and Japan, represented a coalition of nations driven by expansionist ambitions, authoritarian ideologies, and a rejection of the existing world order. Germany, under Hitler's iron grip, sought to establish a vast empire across Europe, fueled by a twisted vision of Aryan supremacy. Italy, under Mussolini, aimed to recreate the Roman Empire, asserting dominance in the Mediterranean and beyond. Japan, driven by militaristic nationalism, sought to establish a greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere, bringing much of Asia under its control. The Allied powers, a diverse coalition that ultimately included Great Britain, the United States, the Soviet Union, and many others, represented a stand against Axis aggression. Driven by a shared desire to defend democracy, freedom, and the rule of law, the Allies ultimately prevailed, though not without tremendous sacrifice. Key figures emerged on both sides, shaping the course of the war. Winston Churchill, the indomitable Prime Minister of Great Britain, rallied his nation against the Nazi threat. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States, provided crucial leadership and resources. Joseph Stalin, the dictator of the Soviet Union, led his nation through unimaginable hardship on the Eastern Front. The clash between these ideologies and the leaders who embodied them defined the course of World War II, a conflict that would decide the fate of nations and shape the world for generations to come. The early years of World War II saw German forces sweep across Europe, their blitzkrieg tactics leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The fall of Poland was followed by the conquest of Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France. The Battle of France proved a decisive turning point. German forces outmaneuvered and outgunned their French and British counterparts, culminating in the evacuation of British and Allied forces from Dunkirk. France was forced. Europe fell under Nazi occupation. Great Britain, standing alone against the Nazi war machine, endured a relentless bombing campaign during the Battle of Britain. The Royal Air Force, though heavily outnumbered against the Luftwaffe, ultimately thwarting Hitler's plans for an invasion of England. The Battle of the Atlantic raged for much of the war, as German U-boats sought to strangle Britain's supply line. Became a battleground with convoys of merchant ships escorted by warships, facing constant threat from submarines and aircraft. Section 5. The Eastern Front. A struggle for survival. While the war raged in Western Europe, an even larger and more brutal conflict unfolded on the Eastern Front. Operation Barbarossa, the German invasion of the Soviet Union in June of 1941, marked a new phase in the war, one characterized by unimaginable brutality and suffering. The vastness of the Eastern Front, stretching from the Arctic Circle to the Black Sea, presented unique challenges. The Red Army, though initially caught off guard by the German invasion, fought with fierce determination, fueled by patriotism and a deep hatred for the invaders. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought from August of 1942 to February of 1943, became a turning point in the war. The Red Army, enduring horrific losses, ultimately prevailed, encircling and destroying a German army. The battle marked the beginning of the end for German ambitions in the East. The Eastern Front was a war of attrition, a grinding struggle for survival. Millions perished, both soldiers and civilians, victims of combat, disease, starvation, and genocide. The brutality of the fighting, fueled by Nazi ideology and the bitterness of the conflict, left an enduring scar on the region. Section 6. Turning the tide: key battles and Allied victories. As the war progressed, the tide began to turn in favor of the Allies. Key battles and strategic victories shifted the balance of power, paving the way for the eventual defeat of the Axis powers. The Battle of Midway, fought in June 1942, marked a turning point in the Pacific theater. The United States Navy, decimating the Japanese fleet, dealt a decisive blow to Japanese expansionist ambitions. The battle marked the beginning of a long and costly island-hopping campaign that would ultimately lead to the Japanese mainland. In North Africa, Allied forces, led by General Bernard Montgomery, battled German and Italian troops for control of the region. The Battle of El Alamein, in late 1942, marked a turning point, with British forces decisively defeating the Germans and halting their advance in North Africa. The Allied invasion of Normandy on June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe. The largest amphibious invasion in history, D-Day involved a massive logistical and military undertaking, with troops from the United States, Great Britain, Canada, and other Allied nations landing on the beaches of Normandy. These victories, achieved at great cost, marked the beginning of the end for the Axis powers. The combined might of the Allied forces, fueled by industrial strength, technological innovation, and unwavering determination, proved too great to overcome. Section 7. The Holocaust, a stain on humanity. Amidst the global conflict, a horror unfolded that would forever stain the conscience of humanity: the Holocaust. Driven by Nazi ideology rooted in racial hatred and anti-Semitism, the Holocaust represented a systematic and industrialized genocide targeting Jews and other groups deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime. Millions of innocent people, including Jews, Roma, LGBTQ+ individuals, political opponents, and people with disabilities, were systematically murdered in concentration camps, extermination camps, and through mass shootings. The camps, places of unimaginable cruelty and suffering, became synonymous with the horrors of the Holocaust. The Holocaust stands as a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred, intolerance, and the dehumanization of others. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable evil, and a call to action to prevent such atrocities from ever happening again. Section 8. A New World Order. The aftermath and legacy of World War II. The end of World War II in 1945 marked the beginning of a new era, one shaped by the war's profound political, social, and technological transformations. The world emerged from the conflict forever changed, with new power dynamics, international institutions, and a shared determination to prevent another such catastrophe. The formation of the United Nations in 1945 represented a collective effort to promote international cooperation and prevent future conflicts. The UN, founded on the principle of collective security, aimed to foster dialogue, diplomacy, and peaceful resolution of disputes. The war's end also saw the emergence of two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, as dominant forces on the world stage. The Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension and rivalry between these two superpowers, would define international relations for decades to come. The war had a profound impact on the process of decolonization. European powers, weakened by the conflict, faced growing pressure to relinquish their colonies. The decades following the war witnessed the birth of many new nations as former colonies gained independence. Section 9. Echoes of War: Lasting Impacts and Lessons Learned. The echoes of World War II continue to reverberate to this day, shaping our world in profound and enduring ways. The conflict's legacy is evident in the international institutions, geopolitical alliances, and technological advancements that define our present. The war's impact on technology was profound. The development of radar, jet engines, and nuclear weapons revolutionized warfare and had lasting implications for civilian life. The war also spurred advances in medicine, communication, and computing. World War II serves as a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. The courage, resilience, and sacrifice of those who fought for freedom stand in stark contrast to the horrors of the Holocaust and the depths of human depravity. The lessons of World War II are as relevant today as they were decades ago. The importance of international cooperation, the dangers of unchecked nationalism and extremism, and the need to confront injustice and intolerance remain critical challenges in our world. As we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, we must draw wisdom from the past, honoring the sacrifices of those who came before us by striving for a more peaceful and just world.